So we decided that today, because we've got, I mean, there's sort of some news in the entertainment industry, in the lore industry of that entertainment. Star Wars is finally free from Kathleen Kennedy, which is truly, I mean, you guys thought the KKK was bad. The KK is not nearly as bad. But I saw his face.
Here's the thing. It's been long enough. I trust you to know when and where. I was just curious how.
Yeah, no. Trust me. I know the KKK is worse than what happened with Star Wars. A close second, though.
Oh, God. Anyway,
Kathleen Kennedy's been replaced by...
What's his name? He's
Dave Filoni.
Dave Filoni, yeah. The mastermind of the Clone Wars.
Dave Filoni, and the co-head of it now is Lin-Win Brennan, who is...
That is the most Celtic name anyone has ever had.
I really thought you were going to say Lin-Manuel Miranda.
No.
Thank
God, no.
Could you imagine?
That'd be pretty wild.
Lin-Manuel Miranda Star Wars trilogy.
You know his agent has, set up a
I
meeting.
kind of want it. At least give me, a short.
Yeah.
No, Lin-Win Brennan is the former president of Industrial Light and Magic. So we can actually maybe have good VFX in Star Wars for the first time.
I only have one question about Dave Filoni taking over and anything I've heard about it.
No.
How old is Ray Park? And is he still mobile?
Well, he got in trouble for posting revenge porn on his Instagram story.
What?
Well, this is new. This is news.
Okay, I will say this. It is something Maul would do.
Oh, yeah.
We do have the other guy.
He's just in character.
We have the guy who voiced him, Sam Witwer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, wait, no. We can't.
Just train that guy to do martial
No. Because with Sam, we might get a Force Unleashed movie.
That's been rumored for a long time.
It's just not canon enough. It's so far outside the canon.
It doesn't have to be.
I mean, you could just make him an Inquisitor.
That's true, I guess. Yeah. There's ways to do it.
So Ray Park is 51, and...
I feel like... Listen, Jackie Chan is still at it, but Jackie Chan has not been caught posting revenge porn on his Instagram story. So I think that I don't think the problem with Ray Park doing it is gonna be his physical fitness.
Yeah, well, I also wasn't aware of the problematic elements.
Me neither. I did not.
You want to know what's crazy? He did that after his wife cheated on him with Daniel Logan, the actor who played young Boba Fett in Attack of the Clones.
That's wild.
So Ray Park is Ray Park. You know the age Ray Park is in A Phantom Menace.
He's in his 30s or 40s.
Yeah,
right.
Early 30s.
And Daniel Logan in the next movie is like a 10 or 12-year-old.
Yeah.
She likes him young.
This whole situation feels bad.
Yeah.
Now, granted, that affair did not happen during the production of Attack of the Clones.
I would assume so.
My emotions from Kathleen Kennedy getting axed were up here. You have brought them down. Now I'm kind of this is just getting bad.
As the Force should be, your emotions have now equally balanced out.
Yeah, we started with Kanye West, and now we're here.
What is cool about Daniel Logan, though,
started from the top, and now we're here.
Yeah.
What's cool about Daniel Logan, though, is now that he's taken a break from taking other people's wives, and now he just had a really cool Instagram post that he was hanging out with Jake Lloyd, who I don't know if you know about his issues or not.
How's he doing after all that?
He's just been out of the limelight, but he's hanging out with Daniel Logan, so people are taking care of him. It sounds like.
I saw a clip from Shia LaBeouf recently, where somebody, I guess he was doing a panel somewhere, I don't know where.
But can we just appreciate that Shia LaBeouf has been completely unhinged for 15 years, and yet he has yet to do something morally bad?
No, he did.
Oh, what did he do?
Didn't he beat his wife or something?
There was some.
Right, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, it was something bad.
It was something like that. I think that it was there was some sort of out of court settlement or something like that.
Yeah, because he had to go on Bernthal's show and just kind of
Oh, I think he might be. Wait. I think he's literally doing time right now. Hang on.
I think he was in prison for a period of time.
Oh,
he's never Mattis. He's never done anything bad, and
I
he's
feel like
doing time.
What exactly was it?
I'm having that Bobby Lee moment where he's well, Korea never had slavery.
Shia LaBeouf, the star from Holes. I would know about it. Anyway, the reason I was bringing him up was because on the panel, somebody asked him about holes, and they asked like, "Hey, did you have fond memories, or was that a rough thing?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, no, that was horrible." We had people from SAG on set with a stopwatch because we were only legally allowed to be in the holes for 5 minutes at a time, because in the middle of the valley we were in, it was 120 outside. It was 150 in the holes. So no matter, even if we were in the middle of a take, when it hit 5 minutes, we all had to be pulled out. Also, apparently, what's his name?
I can't believe they didn't do that part on a soundstage.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just
Disney.
cheaper. Yeah.
They had Disney money.
But what year did that movie come out?
Also, what's the guy who
Like
plays...
05?
What's the guy who plays... I think
No, it has to be earlier. It's got to be like 03 because he was older in Transformers.
The guy with the mustache and the truck and the pistol.
Jon Voight.
Jon Voight. Yeah, apparently Jon Voight was in character the whole time. So he was just walking around being an asshole.
I have never heard a normal story about Jon Voight.
Well, apparently, because Shia LaBeouf's dad was like somewhat of a convict, and he like had a problem with the fact that Jon Voight was just going around being a dick. So they like fought several times. Not like fist fight, I don't think, but yeah. And apparently, like his dad had to be checked by Jon Voight because Jon Voight had like multiple Oscars at that point, and he just kind of earned the right to do whatever the fuck he wanted. Yeah. So yeah, apparently it was really weird and strange. Oh, and his dad was apparently hitting on Sigourney Weaver the whole time as well. So,
Okay.
Hey, if
that's
I
the
do
most
not blame the man.
reasonable thing.
My kid
Yeah.
is on a movie in the early 2000s, and I have nothing else to do while shooting the movie.
Yeah,
and
like,
Sigourney Weaver's there.
shoot
I'm
shot,
gonna do
man.
it. Like,
You
what
like
other
shoot,
opportunity?
I mean,
am I gonna
also,
get?
you got a great, like, you know, you want a taste of the beef? Like,
what?
his name is the Beef. LaBeouf. Like, you got a built-in pickup line.
Crazy work. Oh my god.
I'm just saying.
Hail Mary pass on 4th and 1.
Literally.
Jon Voight is in. Did either of you guys watch Megalopolis?
No, but he also is in National
I've seen the
Treasure,
clips.
and I need to do the National
He's
Treasure
also in
video.
Heat, and I need to do the Heat video.
Yeah. You know, the reason I bring up Megalopolis is that Jon Voight is in it for the sole purpose of a bit that is just like how comically large his character's erection is. Like that's the.
Oh, that's right.
We were supposed to be talking about Star Wars, and now we're talking about Jon Voight's massive erection. And I was hoping to get a Patreon ad in here at some point because we need people to sign up for that, but I guess it's not going to happen. In case you were wondering,
Go sub to the Patreon, everybody.
the YouTube algorithm is just in the toilet right now. We don't know what's going on. It's totally inexplicable. But yeah, if you guys want to help us out, you can sign up for Patreon. It's just $1 a month.
We should transition all our content to live on Kick.
Oh God. Just from now on, I'm doing nothing, but I'm just doing reaction streams where I react to Sneeko.
Who is Sneeko again? I've heard the name.
God,
I don't
we
know
don't-
who
we
they
don't
are.
even-
He's a streamer. I don't even know. Was he part of like one of those gaming clans or something?
I don't know. He's like an Andrew Tate wannabe.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we were going to talk about Star Wars. Can't really totally remember which part of it. Right, The Mandalorian is coming to theaters,
Yeah. First Star Wars movie in theaters since the sequel trilogy.
which is honestly, I'm concerned.
Which is crazy, the volume of Star Wars that has come out in that time.
Yeah.
And it's all been like limited series on Disney Plus.
We should have gotten an Obi-Wan movie in theaters, not an Obi-Wan Disney Plus series that was dragged out longer than it needed to be.
Because that's the thing. There's you watch the show, there's a great 2.5 hours in there.
Yeah.
And if it had the budget of the whole 6 hours, maybe that 2.5 hours would have looked good.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have had all these extraneous,
Well,
Kumail
have you-
Nanjiani pretending to be a Jedi and whatever Reva was. And
Well, have you seen the the Kai Patterson cut?
no, I should watch that. Though.
Yeah. So there's a guy.
It's really good.
Yeah, I watched it. I actually have it on my computer. It's solid. It's definitely an improvement. I will say there are some elements of Reva that when you recontextualize it in a movie, she's a much better character.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, and when you remove a lot of the filler, it's really tight. The downside is there are some good moments with Kenobi that just don't fit in. Like the show is still worth watching to a certain extent, especially if that's just for me, that's your favorite character.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love if they were going to do another Kenobi thing, because I know McGregor's on. I know Christensen wants to do it as well. I would love to see either another Kenobi movie set at that period, or realistically, they're still young enough.
They are.
They could do something between episode 2 and episode 3 if they wanted to, of just them in the Clone Wars.
I think they could. I think it would be tough, given how old they are. Like, you'd have to get the de-aging technology down.
Yeah.
And I don't want them doing that bullshit they do with Luke.
No, it looks really bad.
I don't ever want them to do any more of that.
Realistically, personally, even if they look a little older, I don't care.
So here's the thing that I think there is. If you've read any of the Star Wars comic books, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in that universe during the space between episode 1 and episode 6, featuring main characters like Darth Vader, like Boba Fett, that is totally extraneous to what happens in the films. It has nothing to do with the Skywalkers, the Death Star, whatever. I think there's spots for them to go in and be like, all right, well, we have this universe built. We know that there are other Jedi out there. We know that Kenobi knows there are other Jedi out there. The parameters we've worked with, we now just have to make sure that we don't contradict anything from the original trilogy.
Yep.
And they've already figured out how to retcon a lot.
Yeah.
Like, the way they managed to make episode 3 through Rogue One make sense without screwing with episode 4 is actually impressive.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch. After I left your place, I watched A New Hope.
Yeah.
Just on a whim. And it's so fun to see the things that have been recontextualized over time by Star Wars. Because none of them know any of that.
No.
Like you're watching it and you're like, oh, this is this reference has been built upon, but it's like it was this was a throwaway line to George Lucas. Now it's like, oh, we've made comics and shows
like the
about
Clone
it
Wars
now.
line
the
was
Clone Wars,
literally a
exactly,
throwaway and was conceived as something totally different.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, it was like the clones were the bad guys fighting against the Empire or whatever. I can't remember exactly how it worked, but there are spaces to go and do things that include main characters but don't affect the overall primary plot.
Well, I think that's what, if you did a second Kenobi season or movie in that time scale, I think the story should be him going out and trying to find, rescue, and group the remaining Jedi.
Yeah.
But I also think one of the things that is relevant to what you just said,
or tracking down Rex or Cody or something that for some reason. There's things that you can do.
playing Rex in live action would be crack.
Yeah,
it'd be
would
good.
Be incredible.
I will say the one thing that I really appreciated, especially about Rogue One, when I was a kid, when I was watching the original trilogy, I was never really intimidated by Darth Vader. I was like, he's an interesting character, but kind of silly at times. Rogue One was the first time
that you get it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, where was this in the original trilogy? Because this is horrifying.
Yeah, that scene at the end of Rogue One, right before the beginning of A New Hope, is a horror movie.
If you watch that leading into A New Hope,
it totally changes the entire perspective. It is a little bit wild to go from 2017 VFX to 1977 VFX, but
honestly, every year on May 4th, I do that back-to-back Rogue One and New Hope.
Yeah.
Seamless.
Yeah. That's what I love about that specific movie too. You can tell that the people who were in charge of it cared.
Yeah.
They understood what Star Wars is, which, as silly as it sounds, Star Wars is America's Iliad. Star Wars is our Arthurian legend. It is. It doesn't take place here. It's not our world, but is, as far as contributions to the literary and fictional works of human history, I'd say Star Wars is probably the only thing we've done that is on that level.
Not as the only thing that we've done on that level. I think it's also the highest you can get at that level. Because think about it. Even with the mythic structure and the symbols within it, I don't think you can get more elevated of, for example, the sword, the specifically the Arthurian sword, or anything along those lines, Lord of the Rings bumped it up a little bit with the glowing sword and when they're, what is it, the orcs are near, and things like that.
Most of the elven swords do it. Sting does it. Orcrist does it. Orcrist and Glamdring are in The Hobbit. One of them is used by Gandalf.
I forgot that Sting was the name of the one.
Sting's the one Bilbo and Frodo had.
And then you've got the what is it, the Targaryen swords, the Valyrian steel in Game of Thrones. You've got these elevations of it where it's got these magical properties. In Star Wars, you can't get any bigger than the sword itself being pure energy that can cut through anything. That is the ultimate level of that symbol. Same thing with the Force. It's literally, it is so ubiquitous that it only has the most generic name because it can do anything. It can alter minds. It is telekinetic. Like, it's just everything about it.
And any work of fiction that does that, the sort of like ubiquitous energy throughout all of life, or does a sword that is made of light, will always be seen as, oh, you're just doing Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody will ever even parallel it without it just being, this is just Star Wars.
And the mythic structure of the hero's journey, and because you've got the original trilogy, which is the hero's journey. In its highest form.
Yeah, but with the interesting subversion of the Shadow being the hero's father.
Well, that's the thing, but there's also within, so part of the works that Lucas utilized heavily for the basis is Joseph Campbell, and within the hero's journey, there is also the kind of subplot of that journey of rescuing your father from the underworld, which is also something that Peterson was said, the lobsters. And so there's that.
Rescue your father from the serpent.
Exactly. But that's the thing, is like that is a mythological symbol that has existed throughout cultures, throughout time. And Lucas took that and the hero's journey and interwove them to create the ultimate hero's journey. Similarly, with then going back into the prequels, he created arguably the ultimate tragedy as it leads into that ultimate hero's journey. And in my opinion, personally, I feel like you can do variations on that. You can do different takes. But you can't assume that you're ever going to be able to make a more elevated version of those two genres than Star Wars has already done it.
Yeah. And I think that's part of what the creative issues with the sequel trilogy were, is that Abrams and Johnson, they get in, they're like, all right, we've got to figure out how to keep Star Wars moving forward. We're not going to adapt the novels that are already set at that time. And they kind of look and they're like, we don't have J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson don't have what it takes to figure out how to build off of the conclusion to the hero's journey.
I wouldn't say they don't have what it takes. It seems from an outside perspective, there was not an intended arc. There was not a plan.
Star Wars.
But what have Abrams and Johnson done in their careers to show that they have what it takes to creatively advance that story?
Abrams did well with Star Trek and reinventing that.
Yeah, but is that on the level of what you
I
just
think that's why he got hired, too.
No, that's 100% why he got hired.
I think the reason they ended up going with Abrams is because they saw what he did with Star Trek, and they went, oh,
that's exactly
what it is. A very safe.
He took a sci-fi story and from the 60s, and he understood where it went, and he brought it up to he took the modern scale. He understood how to not jump the shark here. Like, what are the rules and parameters of this universe? I think if you give J.J. Abrams a series like that has a bit more of a connection back to real science, to the extent that Star Trek does, I think that he can do that. I think the problem with Star Wars is that Star Wars is a fantasy series dressed up in science fiction clothing. And so it has different inspiration to it. It comes from a different lineage of fictional works. So I think when you have somebody who's really good at sci-fi, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be really good at Star Wars, because Star Wars is a story about wizards and knights and magic and, grand scales. There's dragons in it. It's a different kind of story, but fantasy as a genre, going back to, at the very least, Tolkien, is something that is at its core about a different kind of battle. It is a battle between good and evil, and you have to understand how that functions, because what we get with J.J. Abrams is just a reinvention of what Lucas did. I mean, think about what the Empire...
beat A New Hope. I remember being in the theater, having fun. Yeah, Star Wars is cool, ships. I was like, because the movie looks cool. And then I was like, well, now we're on a snow planet, and we just started off on a death. Is this just A New Hope?
Well, that's the thing is, why is the Empire evil? It's because they are led by a man who is fully and completely consumed by selfishness, anger, and greed because of his connection to a magical force that rewards him for doing bad things. Why is the First Order evil?
Because they use the symbolism and trappings of Nazism without ever actually having any underpinnings that would connect it to Nazism.
I mean, the one thing, if I'm remembering correctly, which one?
I'm not asking if they are evil. They are.
Yes.
The question is, why?
Well, in the first scene,
What
with
is
them,
what is the reason for it?
well, in the first scene with them, we see them executing unarmed civilians.
I know, and that's evil.
Yeah.
But why? Why did they do it?
Because Kylo Ren is trying to fulfill his prophecy as the grandson of Darth Vader.
But where did that come from?
Like,
it's never explained.
that, and he doesn't run the First Order. He doesn't even have the stature within the First Order that Vader had in the Empire, I would argue. He's just kind of like Domhnall Gleeson's character is the commander of the First Order.
Well, that's
That's what they were doing. Is
Snoke, like-
Gleeson is Tarkin and Kylo is Vader. Like that's the idea they went for. My point in this isn't to say, is the First Order evil? They are. It's to say that if you look at Lord of the Rings, for example, why is Sauron evil? Well, he's evil because he is the disciple of Melkor, who was a basically archangel who hated creation and decided that he was going to do everything in his power to corrupt it solely as a giant fuck you to the creator of the universe.
But also, realistically, none of that's in the movies.
No, but it is in the books.
Yes.
But
if you haven't read the books, you don't know that.
This is it does get alluded to in Peter Jackson's
what
series.
What you do know in the Peter Jackson films is that this is evil because it is destroying creation. That goes to Tolkien's Christian underpinnings. That good is what creates, evil is what destroys.
I'm gonna play a little bit of a devil's advocate here because I'm remembering things from the sequels. I haven't seen them in a long time, but like in terms of them being evil, like the movie starts off with them murdering unarmed civilians.
They kill Lor San Tekka.
It's like, okay, it's like, all right, these aren't great guys. Just in The Force Awakens alone, we have Kylo Ren obsessing over Darth Vader, vocally announcing that he is trying to fulfill his desire to be that. We don't necessarily know why yet, but we also don't know why Vader is evil in the first movie. So we move forward to that, and then we see Kylo Ren murder his own father, which is in stark contrast with the original trilogy. In the later series, we find out the reasoning, at least within that series, is because Luke Skywalker gets paranoid, believes that he is not going to be able to prevent horrible things from happening, and decides he might have to kill Kylo Ren. And then Kylo Ren feels ultimately betrayed by the person he looked up to the most, so he totally subverts that and starts going after Darth Vader. I think realistically, it's less on the directors because they have both proven in separate series, like with Rian Johnson, the Knives Out series, that they are more than capable of doing complex, intricate, and interesting series of movies. I think the real problem is that, at least when I see the structure of the films, Force Awakens was designed as a soft reboot to essentially see, okay, it was almost testing the waters in terms of what they can and cannot do. And then the decision was made to do a different director under the assumption that because they did a different director in the original trilogy, that having a different design and style for that, because that's the thing is, for Empire Strikes Back, Lucas didn't direct it.
Irving Kershner.
He had Irving Kershner do
Director
it.
of RoboCop
He
2.
did write it.
He did write it.
And that's the difference between what happened here.
Well, and that's the thing. None of the directors for the sequel series did the writing. Rian Johnson had heavy input, but the studios, i.e. Disney, had full creative control and veto power on anything.
Are you sure about that? Because Rian Johnson bragged about how much he did the writing.
That's Rian Johnson being Rian Johnson.
He wrote it.
Reflective.
He wrote it. He didn't get final cut on either the script or so. That's the thing.
Okay, sure. But again, coming back to this, do you think that when they made Force Awakens, do you think that they had it in mind that Palpatine was behind the First Order?
No, and that's the problem.
God,
is that they didn't have a
So
through line.
that's what I'm
story.
saying.
Yeah.
When I say that the directors of the sequel trilogy didn't understand the story they were telling. That's what I mean.
Yeah, can I,
So
can I make
counterpoint,
a
I think it's
spiel?
less on the directors, it's more on the studio.
Studio, directors, whatever. My point is that the original trilogy, Lucas kind of, sure, he was doing a lot of making it as he went along, but he had the idea in his head, at least, that this is a cosmic battle between good and evil. And that there is, why are they evil over here? We get through to the sequels, it's no longer a cosmic battle between good and evil. This is more of a political battle between democracy and fascism.
Well, it's a political battle between a fascist remnant and then like General Organa's private paramilitary organization that doesn't actually have any affiliation.
Realistically,
with the
that
my point is that
politicism was always in it.
Sure, but it's a lot
yeah.
more overt by that point.
no
But
doubt.
I think my point here is like they never explain what the purpose of the First Order is beyond a bunch of people who were involved in the Empire wanting the Empire
And there was
back.
a great comment
And
that
I don't think
someone
that's
made.
enough.
It may have been Abrams, but there was this really good comment that somebody made where it was like, our idea with the First Order was as if there was the Nazis who fled to Argentina set up an organization in the jungle and in the Andes Mountains of trying to remilitarize themselves and reorganize to then go back to Europe and essentially reclaim Europe as a Fourth Reich.
Yeah.
That's an awesome idea for Star Wars. That's not what they did.
Well, I'm curious. Well, here's the thing. I'm curious though because I feel like a lot of that is just subtextual. Because it geopolitically, what happens in terms of in a power vacuum after
Yes.
Episode 6?
And
it
that's
makes
why I
sense.
keep saying Abrams made a good sci-fi story. He did not make a good fantasy story.
Yeah,
He didn't understand, like, sci-fi, all of that makes sense. It's lacking the cosmic fundamental evil. And it just uses fascism and Nazism as a stand-in for it, which, again, is understandable. It makes sense. But in my opinion, watching the sequel series back, the thing that is most absent from it when I look at it is that sense that you are fighting against something that is not just people who have bad ideas or people who want control, but a genuine, like, mystical form of evil that corrupts everything it touches and uses mortal beings as its instrument for destruction. Instead, it's the difference between cosmic evil and human evil.
Yeah. The thing about J.J. Abrams, he was a really good safe financial bet.
Yeah.
His track record is proven of generating a tremendous amount of money. The thing about J.J. Abrams is that his kind of what I was trying to get at with the past work, all his career has been very pulpy. Lost is super pulpy, Star Trek 2009 is super pulpy, and there's a lot of pulp in what inspired and influenced George Lucas. He gets the pulp right in The Force Awakens. He doesn't get the meat underneath that you were talking about that both of you talked about, you with the Joseph Campbell, a mythic structure, you with the good and evil, the cosmology. He doesn't have that. He hasn't ever worked with that in his career. You look at some of the directors that they interviewed for. I mean, they interviewed Fincher for The Force Awakens. That's where, and some people want to deflect off of Kathy Kennedy and say, oh well, she does all the behind the scenes. She's not responsible for the creative issues. She makes a decision of who to hire. She makes a decision to hire a very financially safe guy in J.J. Abrams over somebody that is more of an auteur like Fincher, who worked on Return of the Jedi, who has an impeccable pedigree for this kind of thing. She makes that decision for money, and the result is that you have something that is understandable based on Abrams' track record, which does not have the meat underneath it. She pivots to then Rian Johnson, who I think, to your point with Knives Out, is more skillful creatively than J.J. Abrams, but doesn't like Star Wars. Like, J.J. Abrams at least seems to be a fan. Rian Johnson has never said anything that is not, like, snippy about Star Wars as a concept. So, yeah, she makes a wise pivot to get someone with a little bit more, like, creative skill, but she still picks somebody that has, in interviews and on social media, had open contempt for it. And then that gets poorly received, and she's like, well, all right, I guess we go back to Abrams, and then he makes the lowest grossing movie of his career and the lowest grossing Star Wars
Well, and this is why specifically I kept reiterating that it's less on the
Lowest
directors.
grossing movie of his career?
To my knowledge,
been.
Grossed
billions.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, let me clarify what I said. Rise of Skywalker was the lost the most money of
Got
his
it.
career.
Okay, I see.
He probably like the movie, the Spielberg ripoff that he did with the train,
Super 8?
probably grossed lower. It's
I actually liked Super 8. I watched it as a kid.
It's a good movie.
It's budget to.
Well, I mean,
it's
it
budget to
wasn't
box
just a Spielberg
office.
ripoff. Spielberg produced it.
And
Did he actually?
Yeah.
That's the other thing too with it is I do think when it came to directors and writers and everything, that's why I keep coming back to this thing about understanding what fantasy literature is, because again, Star Wars is fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you watch the movies that inspired Lucas, all of those Kurosawa films, those are fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
They are not science fiction in any sense.
Yeah, they're mixtures of fantasy and westerns. set in Japan.
And that's why I think like if you want a director to get Star Wars right, you don't need a J.J. Abrams or a Ridley Scott or even a George. I mean, bring back George Lucas, have him do it. He can probably do it just fine. You don't need those big name directors like J.J. Abrams. You need like a Peter Jackson. And I'm not necessarily saying Peter Jackson. I do think that if Peter Jackson was in love with Star Wars in the way he was Lord of the Rings, he'd make the best Star Wars movie you've ever seen.
Yep.
I don't know if he likes Star Wars, but you need somebody who has that sense of reverence for the material they're working with,
Absolutely.
who can really dive in and understand what the story is at its core, not just what makes it sell movies, which I think is what Disney was more focused on, was how do we make the most money off of this story? And what I don't think they really, what I think that they didn't comprehend is that it's Star Wars. Everyone's going to go see Star Wars. It had been, 20 years?
No, 10.
Almost 20 years between...
10 from Revenge of the Sith to Force Awakens.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Oh, sorry.
I'm talking about between the originals.
Oh,
It was 83?
80. You sound
Yes.
right. Yeah.
So it was, 17 years?
Roughly.
It's been almost 20 years since the last Star Wars movie in an era without the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And people showed up for Phantom Menace in droves. I mean, lines around the block at movie theaters. And then the same thing. Even though Phantom Menace got mixed reviews, it was the same thing a couple of years later when Attack of the Clones came out.
Yep.
And then when Revenge of the Sith came out, everybody was like, oh my God, Star Wars is back.
Yep.
And then they waited another 10 years.
No.
It had only been 10 years in the internet era. Star Wars was still constantly present. Clone Wars was on TV for most of that time.
Yeah.
And it was getting viewership from adults. It was a children's show that was primarily viewed by adults.
Yeah.
And so you
It
come...
became very adult.
Disney made a horrible miscalculation, which was, how do we make the thing that is going to be Marvel?
Yeah.
Because nobody gave a shit about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, it exists, but nobody was really talking about Marvel outside of Spider-Man at all.
Marvel
up until
was,
2008.
Marvel was in, and even at the time they were going into the sequels, Marvel was in that lull between Avengers and Civil War, where the movies were making money, but they weren't. Those two movies kind of were the big juggernauts of pre-Endgame. Between that, there was this lull that Star Wars could have capitalized on. And this is another thing that at the studio executive level that was a huge miss. Star Wars was not supposed to be a cinematic universe. We weren't. And part of the blame also was on Bob Chapek when he was running Disney, because this was his whole thing was, we want an episode of something Star Wars every week on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And that was never supposed to happen.
Well, actually, it did happen. You know when it happened? In the comic books that they ignored.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's a reason why. A key point that I want to make here is, and I think it speaks to a lot of what you two are saying. When you look at Disney as an overarching corporation, their film division is not an art division.
No.
It is
That's what I was saying about the MCU thing.
It's a marketing entertainment vision. Yeah. The reason they bought Star Wars was not because they wanted to execute George Lucas's vision. It was because they wanted to make safe movies that would be interesting to children, that would get them to come to the parks and buy toys.
Yep.
And just a sidebar on that, one of the things that Bob Iger said, funny enough, when they acquired Star Wars was, we're realizing that we're Disney and we don't have enough young male fans, so we make all these movies for girls, Disney princesses and that kind of thing. So we're gonna buy Star Wars to bring in more male fans.
And then
How'd
they
that go?
feminized.
How'd that
Star
go?
Wars.
How'd that go, Bob Iger?
Because they took a predominantly male property,
Yeah.
and then they added a female protagonist into it to then stabilize their market share of male versus women people that were interested in Star Wars.
But
And
instead
buying
of
merch.
taking that female protagonist and going with the established one we all loved, they completely invented a Mary Sue and tried to shove her down our throats. Like, Ahsoka, we get to watch Ahsoka go from being an impetuous teenager who gets her men killed constantly to being a mature rebellion-leading general. She's on Felucia, helping lead the rebellion there. I can't remember what the other planet is that there's a 3-episode arc with in Clone Wars, but like, again, Ahsoka goes from being a teenager who is in no position to be doing what she's doing to becoming a much more powerful, much better duelist, good Force user, like more intelligent, everything. We watch her grow up. It was there. And then they went with a different character entirely.
Why do you think they did that?
I think because the timeline didn't work out.
Timeline, and I think there's a...
But I also think it
In
probably
the
has something to do
minds
with
of
little girls being able to easily dress up as Rey.
Well, that's what I'm going to say, is that I feel like from an executive's point of view, they look at somebody like Ahsoka and they go like, well, there's going to be this barrier for casuals to connect with a Togrutan character.
Yeah.
That's the thing,
Which is dumb, but I understand that that's probably what went through their head.
It's way easier to market, especially with the demographics in 2015, to a young female audience, somebody who looks like the majority of the population of children that are going to be watching the movie.
And I have I don't really
Not all,
have...
majority from a demographic standpoint, because they are a business.
Right. And I
Well,
don't-
yeah, there it is. That's
don't
what I was
even-
going to bring up. Was there was such an easy, there was a layup right there, and it was giving us, this wouldn't have worked for like any of the big stuff, but there was a layup for them to do with. Just while we were on the topic of Ahsoka, I didn't want to lose this.
Okay.
A very easy layup for the Ahsoka series that they didn't go with. Did you guys watch the Ahsoka series?
No.
Yeah, I did.
It was, they had it kind of go off of Rebels and not Clone Wars.
We can make this show for $20 if we use the volume wall for every fucking shot.
Do you remember? Did you watch Clone Wars?
Yes.
Do you remember Barriss Offee?
No.
She was Luminara's Padawan.
Yep.
She falls to the dark side. There's a duel between her and Anakin. She loses.
Oh, right.
That's what gets Ahsoka to leave the Order
Yes.
over that issue. Yeah.
And so Barriss Offee is literally the reason that Ahsoka gets kicked out of the Jedi Order. She, as far as the story ends up going, becomes an Inquisitor, and then her story comes to an end in, I think, Tales of the Jedi or something like that.
Yeah, that or Rebels somewhere in
Yeah,
there.
it was like, it wasn't Rebels. It was one of the
Rebels.
newer Disney.
Oh, got it.
One of the newer Disney ones. The reason I bring this up is if you want to do an Ahsoka series, have it be the fact that Clone Wars never tells us what happens to Barriss.
Correct.
She's not in Revenge of the Sith. She's not in the original trilogy. You had a very easy opportunity to make a story about Ahsoka as an adult learning that Barriss is still out there, like operating as a dark side Force user, maybe trying to train up a new Sith Order, whatever, going to stop it, and then you get to once again tell the story that Star Wars always tells, which is the good person finally having the moment to take revenge on the person who destroyed their life and instead showing mercy.
Oh, I thought you meant it's just her hunting down and killing her, and it's just the last mission of Red Dead Redemption 2 in Star Wars.
Well, no.
'Cause that would have been awesome, too.
That would have been awesome, too. My point is, like, they had that layup
Yeah.
right there. That's what when I say that Disney doesn't get it, that's what I mean.
Well, I feel like
they didn't see that story. I don't think that, like, and the thing is, I think if you had asked Dave Filoni, like, hey, what do you think, what do you think about Barriss Offee and having that be part of the story? He would have been like, oh my God. And I don't think he would have necessarily thought of it himself, but Sam Witwer, as we know, has said things to Dave Filoni that got Dave Filoni to go, oh my God, you're right, let's do that instead. I think if somebody had just come to him, somebody who cared at Star Wars and said, hey, for this Ahsoka series, we don't need to tie it into The Mandalorian that heavily. Yeah. We don't need to come up with a whole new story. We know that Ahsoka has this background. We know that this is a loose end that was never tied up. We can do this story, and people will love it.
That's the thing about Dave Filoni, is that I like the guy a lot, fellow Pennsylvanian, Pittsburgh, but, I like Dave Filoni a lot. The thing where he gets in his own way is he is such a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
That he's put into this he has this unenviable position where he was being groomed to take over Star Wars creatively. He gets trusted more with Star Wars by George Lucas than anybody since Irvin Kershner and Richard Hartman. Then the rug gets pulled under him. He gets brought in by Disney as a hired gun to have a shadow of his former role. And he's always in this tough position of having to keep his job and keep his role at Star Wars through these executive mandates that don't match up with what he was taught by Lucas himself.
Yep.
So when he gets these opportunities, I can do an Ahsoka show, and I can put Thrawn in it, and I can bring all this stuff out of Legends, he takes it, not restraining himself enough to realize, wait, Thrawn needs to be in the movies. He should not be in the show. We should not introduce ourselves to Thrawn in live action.
Want to put Thrawn into a live action movie?
Well, this is where I think a lot of the apples to oranges kind of comes into play here. Is I think the annoyance at the creatives is understandable here, and I've seen a lot of it, and I've felt it at certain times. But I think the key thing to remember here is, and from everything I've read about Kennedy, Iger, all of the people that are at Disney, creatives have creative ideas. But if they're not deemed marketable by the corporation overarching, I wouldn't be shocked if Filoni had that idea or something similar to it. I wouldn't be shocked if Filoni had the idea to put Thrawn in films. But given the state in which Disney was treating Star Wars, I don't think they ever would have allowed
Maybe not.
things like that. And that's the problem is artists, especially now more than ever, that work with corporations can have phenomenal ideas. But unless they fit the needs for the market share, for shareholder value that the corporation is trying to meet for their projections, they will not allow it. And that was my point kind of with Johnson and Abrams with the sequel trilogy is I wouldn't be shocked if Abrams had some good ideas. I wouldn't be shocked if Rian Johnson wanted to take it in an even more drastic direction for Last Jedi than he did. And I know some of the things that Johnson did, he had to actually essentially lie about, to my understanding, to get it through, to only film things certain ways, to prevent, because I believe killing Snoke was not what Disney wanted. And he essentially snuck the scene in to where, I could be totally wrong, and this is what I'm remembering.
Sneak that in?
Because the whole scene is fucking CGI.
Because if you film it a certain way, and producers on set either aren't aware or aren't paying enough attention, and then you get so far into post-production where you don't have the time or money to change the scene and the script by the time that it's supposed to be out in theaters.
It kind of has to be in the script that they killed him.
I mean, no, he could just show up on set and then pull the DP over here, pull Andy Serkis over here, and be like, all right, so you're gonna do that, and then you're gonna whatever. All right, go. And then Kathy Kennedy looks over her shoulder, like, what's going on? I'm like, oh, well, he's just shocked that Rey did this, and she's like, okay, and walks away, and then they're like,
wait, was that Andy Serkis?
As Snoke, yeah.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Actually,
and that's the thing is supposedly based on the structure that Disney had created. Snoke was not supposed to die.
No, he was supposed to be the overarching.
He was supposed to be the big evil.
Yes, and so what you're saying is that killing the big evil guy was Rian Johnson's idea,
to my understanding,
which is the thing that forced them to somehow Palpatine returned.
Correct. Yeah.
So what you're saying is Rian Johnson ruined the sequel trilogy.
I'm saying Rian
he
Johnson
just had to subvert expectations.
I mean, it's again. I think it
don't
really is a
listen,
both and.
Ryan, if you're seeing this, which you're probably not, but if you're seeing this, Rian Johnson,
big
first
Lore
of
Lodge
all,
fan. Ryan
I'm
Johnson.
sorry for that Facebook post in 2017 where I said if I was on a desert island alone with you and Hitler, I would beat you to death with a rock. I said I would shoot Hitler too. It was if you have got a gun with 2 bullets. I was like, if I was on a desert island alone with Hitler and Rian Johnson and I had a gun with 2 bullets, I'd beat Rian Johnson with a rock and shoot Hitler twice.
Yep.
Just to give you the full context of my statement. And Facebook banned me for that for a few weeks. You know, you got zucked. Anyway, Ryan, you're great at Knives Out. Wake Up Dead Man was fantastic. It handled Catholicism in a really good, respectful way while also addressing some of the, the more radical elements of it that have been coming up recently and dealing with white nationalism and all of that. Like, you did a great job with that. The second movie, Glass Onion, super weird, dude. Good, entertaining, but really weird also. First movie, awesome. I also knew it was Chris Evans the whole time. Sorry. Anyway, you're good at that. You also directed a phenomenal episode of Breaking Bad. Please, for the love of God, never touch anything in the fantasy genre ever again.
Yeah, I'm so glad he lost his trilogy.
I'm so glad he's not doing Aragon.
I'm glad we're giving credit where credit's due, though. That's always important.
This might be a fun exercise to do. Here are the directors that didn't get hired for The Force Awakens.
Oh, God.
They considered Fincher. They
I don't think I've ever seen a David Fincher film.
Have you ever seen Seven?
Fight Club, Seven.
Oh, I've seen Fight Club.
The Social Network. You have to have seen The Social.
No.
Zodiac?
I think the only one of those I've seen is Fight Club.
All right. Well, we're watching Fincher movies
I was
later.
going to say, you're kind of
I
missing
liked
out.
Fight Club.
Yeah.
Fight Club was great.
Fight Club is a phenomenal film. It's not even close to my favorite Fincher film.
My favorite part of Fight Club is where they blow up Willington.
Yeah, we need to show you Seven. We need to show you Zodiac. We need to show you Social Network.
Gone Girl would be a good one.
I frustrated one of my AP US government teachers in high school because we were talking about, he was like, he went to University of Delaware and he was trying to convince us Delaware is cool. Just not a possible task. And he's like, yeah, you guys have seen Fight Club, you know, at the end where like they blow up those skyscrapers, that's Wilmington. And I'm like, yeah, did you guys know they actually just blew those up for real and nobody noticed? He's not happy with me. Sorry, Mr. Anderson.
Yeah. Others, they consider Brad Bird, who did The Incredibles, Ratatouille, and the fourth Mission Impossible, and then got put in director jail for Tomorrowland. Jon Favreau, Guillermo del Toro. All four of these people they did not hire, but
Can you
interviewed.
guys name some Guillermo del Toro movies?
Crimson Peak, Shape of
Hellboy,
Water,
right?
Hellboy, the Pacific Rim, the first one. He had a bunch of Spanish language films in Mexico before he came here.
Hang on. He actually has some, like, good films.
I think
Shape of Water and Crimson Peak are both awesome.
Pacific Rim is the only one of those I've seen. I heard about The Shape of Water.
Yeah.
I saw the poster of the woman getting it on with the fish guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And I said, that is not for me.
Yeah, it's good. It is one of those weird. It's one of those weird Best Picture winners where there were so many really good movies in 2017 that all ate each other's votes up because they were all like there were a lot of like social issue dramas and things that were all really good. They just all like. They all were competing against each other, and the one that kind of rose out of the fray was a fantasy period movie where a woman gets it on with a fish lady.
Yeah, he has done a lot of...
And also just the
Interesting
overdue-ness of Del Toro at that point, because I forget what the movie was. It may have been Crimson Peak, but there was one movie that he did where everybody was like, how have you gone this long and not given him an Oscar? And so then we get to 2017... We're not giving it to Villeneuve or Nolan for Blade Runner or Dunkirk, which should have happened.
Yeah.
We can't decide which of these social dramas we want to give it to. All right, I guess it's time to give Del Toro an Oscar for directing A Woman Getting On with a Fish.
Del Toro, to me, feels like if you took James Cameron and Tim Burton and put them in a blender.
Incredible analysis.
Yeah, that's based on what I've seen, that makes sense. It seems like he's the guy you hire when you need a really good director who's also just kind of a weird little guy.
Which would have made him great for The Force Awakens, I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, true.
I don't know. Well, here's the thing. I think with the right script, Abrams could have done a great job. Second on that list is Favreau.
Yeah.
I think it's unfortunate because Favreau was in Hollywood for so long up to that point, and he just hadn't had a big enough property other than Iron Man.
Yeah.
And it's kind of odd because I guess he's doing it intentionally, but like Chef was a phenomenal movie.
Yeah.
Did you see that, Mattis?
No.
Really good movie. I don't know what he's done.
Cowboys versus Aliens is underrated. I'm going to be honest.
Haven't seen it.
Great popcorn movie. Others, while you look that up, just a highlight of some others. Colin Trevorrow, who did one of the Jurassic Worlds, he was not hired. Matthew Vaughn dropped out of X-Men Days of Future Past to be considered for it and then didn't get the job.
Oh, that's so rude.
Ben Affleck and Neil Blomkamp both turned it down.
You know what I would have liked to see?
What?
Just because I think he could have done it.
Favreau directed Elf?
Yep.
Yeah.
He's in it as the doctor that does the paternity test.
Yeah. So this is you guys are gonna call me. You guys are gonna call me insane for this one.
All right, here we go.
I'm ready.
But in terms of a man who can write and direct an epic story, which faces off true good against true evil, understands how to make that evil feel like it comes from a true place of just deep spiritual evil, and is accustomed to doing this with stories of rebellions against empires. Gentlemen, I think the man they should have chosen to direct the sequel trilogy is Mel Gibson.
Oh, if only he hadn't made a couple phone calls in the 2000s.
We've forgiven him since.
Oh,
I really want a reason why that's a bad idea. Apart from his controversial comments, I look at Mel Gibson's career and I'm like, I don't know that I have a reason why he wouldn't make a great Star Wars.
talk about
movie.
how wild and interesting of a movie Fat Man was.
Fat Man was crazy. That
Did
was
you
after
leave?
you left.
Oh yeah, that was left.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So he plays like one of the most realistic takes on Santa of all time.
Okay.
And also at the same time, Walton Goggins is an assassin that has been hired to kill him.
Naturally.
Yep.
Here's the thing that is so
Also,
interesting.
Walton Goggins needs to be in Star Wars.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Like he's just
really
got,
does.
Oh.
the
Would he be a good
him and Woody Harrelson. I want
He
to see
would
Woody
be an
Harrelson.
incredible live action Hondo Onaka.
That's a. I
Oh
think that's
my
who I was
God,
thinking of.
you're
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
Yeah. Am I thinking of Hondo?
Even make it
Can he
happen.
do the? Is it okay for him to do that accent?
It's fine. He's gonna be in Weequay makeup. Whatever.
Yeah, I was thinking either Hondo or who's the bounty hunter guy with the blue skin.
Cad Bane, but they already have
Yeah.
him in live action.
Yeah, I think he's got. Didn't he get shot?
Yeah, because the tough.
He might not be dead though.
Yeah, he's probably dead. Because there was this had a Book of Boba Fett had like 2 really good episodes and then 5 unwatchable ones, and then in the middle there was like a really good one with Din Djarin again. But anyway, the end of Book of Boba Fett conceptually is really cool. Cad Bane is coming after him.
Mm-hmm.
It draws upon this unfinished arc in the Clone Wars where Cad Bane and Boba Fett are rivals. Boba Fett has this really cool boss fight where he fights Cad Bane.
Mm-hmm.
And they do really do a great job. For an abysmal season finale, it is a great scene to cap it off. I think they forget that those Clone Wars episodes didn't get released. Because there is a lack of, like, this is cool. I'm watching Cad Bane and Boba Fett fight. This should be awesome.
You don't
I'm having
understand
fun.
why it's.
But unless you've read up on these unreleased episodes, you're like, what is this the payoff for?
Yeah.
Especially because I've watched like 6 or 7 episodes
Also-
of just filler and nothingness.
Also, the 1950s greaser kids were so out of place on
Yeah.
Tatooine. Like, again, it's the thing where you just know that like they're sitting in the writer's room, they're going through everything, and they're like, all right, I think we got a really good story here. All of this makes a lot of sense. And then Kathleen Kennedy is just like, what if the people on Tatooine really liked the movie Grease?
Yeah.
And you know the rest of them were just like,
Hey, Grogu sells a lot of toys. What if we shoehorn Grogu into the show about Boba Fett taking over
Well,
Jabba's
guys, I mean,
empire?
think about it for a second. Why would they do that?
again, to sell
I just
toys.
said
There
that.
we
Yeah,
go.
that's what
we
I said.
know,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I
yeah.
understand.
Right. The thing that
Where's that guy who does the videos where he's like making fun of like directorial decision? He's like, yes, the children. Give them colorful bikes immediately.
I have no idea.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
I want to get him on the show.
That'd be good. That'd be
I like
fun.
him. I like his videos.
So I'm not gonna lie. I'm watching that. I'm just watching it for the first time. The Maul Shadowlord trailer.
It looks so sick, dude.
Didn't realize initially prior to watching this that it is animated.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is.
Honestly, I'd
I will
rather
take whatever
them
Maul
do,
I get.
Here's
Yeah.
here's that, but also
It is amazing.
I'd rather them make a really sick looking animated show than do more volume wall bullshit in live action.
Speaking of things that George Lucas initially intended to throw away that became really important, Maul.
Yeah.
It is amazing how a borderline throwaway character became probably one of the most interesting and complex characters of the entire series.
I will also admit Maul is the one point with regard to the newer stuff of the show, of Star Wars, all of that, where I will criticize Star Wars for breaking its own rules so many times under Disney. I do not care that they cut Maul in half and he fell down a reactor shaft. He's alive.
Yeah.
He's alive somehow. It makes sense.
Yep.
Also, just love the straight up campiness of Star Wars that they gave Maul an apprentice named Savage Opress.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's Savage Opress, but
It's Savage Oppress.
like that's what I mean when I say that, like, the guys who worked on the Clone Wars get Star Wars.
Yeah. Darth Vader. None of us knew it meant dad.
Yep. They get it. That's why I think Sam Witwer,
yeah, Sam Witwer,
is just like the guy.
Also, shockingly, Freddie Prinze Jr. Do you ever see that rant that he went on?
Remind me.
Oh God, it was essentially.
Can we put it into the episode so people know what we're talking
Yeah.
about?
Wait, hang on. Let me pull it up so you guys can hear it.
All right, so we'll listen to it and then we'll cut back into whatever's going on.
Yeah, Sam Witwer. Everything he says about Star Wars is so intelligent.
Yeah.
Like this is like even the way that he's on a podcast where he handles the issue of the sequels, and he says something I really like, which he's basically like, I understand that there are fans that really appreciated something that went back and looked at our heroes with a critical eye. There's people that really needed that. That's fine. But the problem is that when you do that development off screen, you are going to run the risk of having people looking at that and seeing something that is incredibly mean-spirited and just handled it all very tactfully in a way that is like acknowledging the issue.
I assume he was talking about Luke.
Yeah, he's talking about The Last Jedi specifically, yeah. So,
Okay, so if you haven't seen this, it's on Jeff Dye's Friendship podcast. It's a clip. It's 3.5 minutes long.
Jeff Dye's great.
And this is just Freddie Prinze Jr. going off on an epic Star Wars rant is the title. We're going to watch it here. Go watch it, come back, and we'll talk.
The Maul as Sisyphus thing.
Oh, yeah,
Maul
is... That was... Wow.
Holy shit.
But again, coming back around to what I was saying earlier in the show, he gets it.
He does get it.
That the cosmic energy of the universe is the thing that is dictating everything. That there is cosmic evil and there is cosmic good, and it is about how those two sides of the Force interact, not about what people think the best form of government is.
Yep.
Yeah.
That, like, the sequel trilogy is, I think that centralized force is the best way to handle things because we've got terrorists out there and we need to maintain the space economy in a way that benefits the most people and maintains the power of the state. And then you've got the New Republic, which is like, all right, so we've just come into power. Shit, those are giant laser beams. We don't know what their political beliefs are. All we know about the resistance is that they're the anti-bad guy, good guy club.
Well, I mean, but that's kind of the same as the original trilogy because Luke.
And again, I'm not trying to defend the First Order. I'm just pointing out that they're the only group we actually get a single shred of explanation about what their ideology is.
Yeah.
So, like...
The Resistance is this really dumb thing where they're like, we want the good guys to be the underdogs again. We can't just have all the original trilogy characters just grow up and be adults and run a government. That would be lame. So we're going to give Princess Leia a paramilitary organization that is seemingly just controlled by her and has no accountability to the public at all. And we're going to have... The First Order one-shot all of the planets with important people on them. So now the Resistance is the only source of, like, an actual good guy fight. And none of it is ever thought about in the context with each other.
You know what I think they did is they took the political complexity and, kind of like motivation of the prequel trilogy. But then instead of doing what the prequels did and fleshing that out, because we get an entire movie about intergalactic trade law.
Yeah.
I think everybody forgets that that's what Phantom Menace is the entire thing is about a trade dispute.
Yep.
It's sanctions. It is the U.S. and Cuba.
It literally starts.
Why the Phantom Menace is awesome.
It literally starts with a trade blockade.
Yeah. So the Phantom Menace is great.
So underrated.
Super underrated movie. But point is, like, they took the political basis of the prequel trilogy, but they designed a movie that was the hero's journey fantasy epic of the first movie and just did not gel them at all. No. You can't, like, it's very easy to understand why they're fighting the Empire in A New Hope. It's because the Empire does evil shit like burn people's parents to death for no reason. Cool, got it. Empire's a fascist militaristic empire that is controlling everything. Got it. Do not tell me more. There is no republic. There's a rebellion. We get to the republic. We build that. That whole thing gets built up over the course of all of the movies. And the idea that it's a return to how things used to be at the end of the original trilogy. In the sequels, they're like, yeah, so we have this functioning government that's been set up, and for some reason, despite the fact that they were well aware of the Imperial Remnant, they just didn't do anything about it. And, Princess Leia didn't think that was a good plan, so she put together this paramilitary organization to go and fight them, but the New Republic never actually set up its own real military, and, just got one shot by this super weapon that they allowed to come into existence.
Realistically, though, that to
also,
me,
we know from the way that the universe works in all of the material that came out before the sequels that everything is not centralized on one planet. That's just where the Galactic Senate is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Confederacy of Independent Systems has a parliament that they send representatives from their individual planets to. Just blowing up the core planets of the New Republic should not be enough to destroy their power entirely.
It's less about destroying the power, it's more destroying the morale. Like, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing the original trilogy is Vietnam versus the United States. I mean, Lucas is on, on record as stating that was his intent as he was writing the Rebellion versus the Empire. The prequel trilogy is Rome. That is the fall of Rome. Mm-hmm. The sequel trilogy, to me, I don't know how intentionally this was or not. It feels a lot more like Iran, where something was set up, and then a rebellious group that was within the bounds, though they were being squashed, inevitably got to a point where they took over control again. And I think with the what the hell was the base called? It's not the Death Star. It's like
Starkiller Base.
Yeah, Starkiller Base. That is the nukes on Japan. It's not eliminating everything, but it's eliminating the key central points and such a show of force that the whole point is that if your planet resists, if your group of planets resist, you're gone.
Which is exactly how the Death Star did work. To be fair, Tarkin says that, where he's like, the point of this is that any system that falls out of line knows it's going to get Alderaan.
Realistically, like, Episode 7 in my mind isn't a bad movie.
It's not the worst of them, that's for sure.
And I understand where they were coming from. It fell apart because they didn't have a through line. It was a good setup to something that never got paid off.
Yeah, if the movies went up from Force Awakens,
they never explained to us why the New Republic was so weak. That's what bothers me.
I think it's less that they were so weak. I think it was just that Starkiller Base was so overtly powerful.
How did they not notice that they were building a giant planetary death laser?
How did they not notice that they were building a giant planetary death laser in the Death Star?
Because they did not notice that. The Empire was in full control already.
No. In the years of the Republic.
Oh, because they're already building it. That's right.
Because they were already building it by the time that Episode 3 happens.
I would argue that's a retcon kind of whole thing. Like, that's not a hole. That's not a hole in the original series.
But that's the thing, is that the people at Disney looked at that and they said, okay, well, the fan base bought that, so why wouldn't they buy this?
Had they started building it, or had they started? I thought no, they didn't start building it.
No, in Attack
they don't start building it until it's.
There's a shot in Revenge of the Sith where there is a in progress Death Star.
Yes, but that's at the end after Palpatine takes over.
Yeah, but the
no. I think we're misremembering things. In Episode 2, we have the plans.
Correct.
We have the not even like the full completed plans. We have the plans for the Death Star as a concept being shown to the CIS.
Yes.
Because that's their super weapon to win the war.
It's also several years previous to Revenge of the Sith.
Yes, it is. But then we have they do that, and then we have, at the end of Revenge of the Sith, they show that they're beginning to put the Death Star together. I don't think it gives us a good sense of the timeline on that.
Are you pulling up the shot?
Yeah, so that's the thing is I want to pull up the picture because
but you've got to remember in Rogue One, Rogue One gives us that the real work into the Death Star begins after the Empire comes into existence.
Correct, but this looks like it was more than just put together since Palpatine.
Compartmentalization, you could just be building that as a space station.
100%, but they were already in construction of it.
Sure.
Yeah, fair. What's crazy about the Starkiller Base?
But how long did it take them to put that framework together?
I would assume longer than the events of Episode 3. That's my assumption.
Well, no, because again, that's the thing is like with we got to take everything into account. If I remember correctly, in Rogue One, like the Empire is fully in power when they start building the Death Star.
That's not in Rogue One, though.
I think it is.
No, Rogue One is when they are like, we're about to make it fully operational.
I'm pretty sure at the very beginning of Rogue One.
Oh, right.
Jane Erso's dad.
Yeah.
In the prologue to Rogue One, the Empire is in power. They come get Jyn Erso's dad to go help them build the Death Star.
Okay, this is something that is addressed. It's addressed in the novel about Galen Erso.
Of course, you've read the novel about Galen Erso.
I don't remember.
Respectable.
I don't remember exactly what the dating is, but
Also, I gotta pee. I'll be back.
They do establish the timeline of the construction of the Death Star there, because it was already in that prologue scene in Rogue One. It was already in progress.
Okay.
They just hadn't cracked it yet.
Gotcha.
There was some sort of issue that they were having that they needed Galen for.
Gotcha.
And so that's why they need him back. But they're already in process on it. So the dating, I'd have to go back. And the crazy thing about the Starkiller base, they've now gotten in their own way with what they've retconned about that base.
Mm-hmm.
Because in one of the Cal Kestis games, one of the Star Wars Jedi games, which is set, I think it's Survivor, which is set around the time as Solo and Kenobi.
Okay.
They're already digging a big-ass trench around Ilum.
Right.
Something is already being built during the height of the Imperial era. On Ilum, a big-ass trench around the planet.
Starkiller base.
Yeah, they say they're Cal Kestis, I think in one of the one of his voiceovers is like, wow, Empire must be building something big or something like that. It's like, so this was going on.
So it was going on during the Empire,
NBBY.
which means that there were people in the Rebellion or in the New Republic who knew about that thing's existence and they didn't do anything about it.
Because it's Ilum. It's a historic planet. They get the Kyber crystals from that. You're telling me nobody noticed that from 10 BBY, they're building a big-ass trench to build something on Ilum, and no one notices.
Realistically, hang on. Realistically, how important of a planet was Ilum?
That's where they got
For the
Kyber
Jedi
crystals.
Order, extremely.
That's where
That's the thing, is at that point, the Jedi Order doesn't exist.
But they know what Ilum is.
I think
who's
the other
really
thing, though,
caring?
we're also
Now that the Jedi are
forgetting that not that much time passes between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. It's like 17 years.
Yeah.
Luke's a kid.
Also, Luke definitely goes to Ilum because that's where he gets the crystal for his green lightsaber in Return of the Jedi. So he definitely has been to Ilum and would have seen the
Which
big-ass
means Luke has
trench.
been to Ilum and seen the big-ass trench.
Sure, but where did he go after Ilum? Because that's the thing.
Apparently into hiding and didn't tell anybody about the big-ass death trench.
Well, no, because he comes. That's
is it
between
really-
5 and 6.
well,
Luke is actively training a new Jedi Order while being fully aware of the Ilum death trench.
I would argue that it probably would have taken less time to build out the interiors and death trench of Starkiller Base than it would have the Death Star.
Wait, it would have taken.
It's
it would have taken
planet.
less time to hollow. They hollow out a planet and build a station.
You can
in the
hide
core
that
of the planet.
ideology. You can hide that as you're doing a mining excavation mission. That is way easier to hide than building an entire space station.
Okay, but Luke, who is super in tune with the Force, was there while they were building it and didn't pick up that anything was wrong.
That's in the book that he was there when they were building it.
No, here's the thing. He goes there between episodes 5 and 6.
Yeah.
What I was telling him was Jedi Survivor, Cal Kestis goes to Ilum in 10 years before, about the same time as Solo and Kenobi.
Yeah.
And they've already got this huge trench around the planet. And I think there's something in one of his voiceovers that's like, wow, BB-8, or B1, what's his droid's name?
I can't remember.
He's like, wow, they must be building something big here.
What is this in?
This is in Jedi Survivor. This is
One of the video games.
Okay, all right.
So
well,
that's what I'm saying, is that they've gotten in their own way, which there is a way to canonically be like, oh well.
I would say without
it
the
was
video
disguised as
game,
a
it makes
mine.
sense.
If you just
Right.
go with the movies,
Right.
Yes.
everything technically makes sense.
Okay, yeah, that's where I'm
They've
at.
gotten in their own way by being like, yeah, this construction project was in process since the Imperial era.
Yeah, that's dumb.
They could have done what you're saying, is gone through in the comics or whatever and been like, okay, well, they disguised it as a mining thing, whatever.
And I think that's the big problem with Star Wars right now is you do, like I said, it is America's great epic. It is our Iliad, our Lord of the Rings, our, whatever you want to go with. It is our great fantasy epic. And because of that, even though, yeah, it was originally written for kids, but because of that, you have a lot of people who care very deeply about this story. This is the kind of thing that in 150 years, people will study in the same way we study Tolkien.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're going to have people going back and looking at it and being like, okay, so here's all the Legendarium. Well, this is really the core stuff. And then, you got to consider this other stuff is more like the Unfinished Tales sort of things. And like, when you have something of that much cultural significance, you can't just design the movies to sell toys.
Or you shouldn't.
You shouldn't.
Yeah, you shouldn't. You can.
Here's the thing. I think what has to happen with the Star Wars canon.
Also, before we get into that, I want to see a Band of Brothers style Star Wars series.
I have a book for you.
I want to see one on Umbara. I want to see one during the war for Umbara, during the Clone Wars. I want to see another one that is... It doesn't have to be Han Solo, but I would love to learn more about the unit Han Solo fought in at the beginning of Solo when he's just in trench warfare on some planet in the Imperial Army where it's not the Stormtroopers, it's just the Imperial Army.
Twilight Company.
Okay, I'll have to
is a book about...
I also still haven't seen Solo.
Exactly...
Solo's good.
7 Solo double feature tonight at the Lodge. That's gonna be wild. No, it's basically Band of Brothers in the Rebellion. It's this company of just nobody's force sensitive in the books. I think an original trilogy, like maybe Han or Leia, shows up briefly because it overlaps with Hoth. But it's just this company of guys. Their chief engineer on their ship is a droid, and they've got this Basilisk, which is what Dexter Jester is. And it just follows them fighting through the events of the original trilogy, just on these planet hopping and fighting in trenches and cities and things like that.
I love that Obi-Wan is just best buddies with some guy who owns a space diner.
Yep.
Yeah, I love one of my favorite, just very... We talk about these throwaway moments. One of these things that's very subtle, but just adds so much depth to like, most of these Jedi are very pretentious, but then you have this guy who's like... I think on a lot of, his training from Qui-Gon Jinn made him this way, but a lot of like, we do need to be like, we do need to know these people that we're...
Put Ewan in charge of it.
Can we hang up really
Have him
quickly?
direct.
I have two things. One is that the one thing I love, and I can't remember where this little bit of context comes from, but supposedly the reason he is friends with Dex as much as he is because when he was studying at the temple when he was much younger, he just didn't really like the food in the cafeteria. So he would go out during lunch and like leave the temple on his own and just like try and find places to eat. And it turned out that he just really liked the food at the diner and he liked the atmosphere and he became a regular. And just that's how he became friends with Dex because he just went there every day.
That is so human.
That is so human, yeah.
So real.
But also
He's
really
so
quickly,
real for that.
Can we do a quick discussion on
Before
how
we end this episode of the show?
Yes.
Are we have to be an hour.
Yeah,
We have to be...
believe it or not,
no, we're not.
Yeah, we have another 20 minutes before we hit the hour 30 mark because we did so much BS in the beginning.
Right.
Can we discuss that despite the design for Luke, the real ultimate Jedi in the series is actually Obi-Wan?
Oh, I fully agree with that.
I think it's Obi-Wan, barring the fact that you don't see now in Disney where Luke goes. I think Luke becomes that over the course of the Legends.
If you go with the expanded universe,
right,
then yes, it's Luke.
But based on what is canon right now and based on the movies themselves, absolutely right. Because that's the thing about Obi-Wan is that he upholds the code to its highest form, and he also has what Qui-Gon had of like understanding the limitations of just hardcore adherence to the code that somebody like Mace Windu has.
Well, Obi-Wan's Galahad.
Right. Yeah. So exactly. So he has both of the things that like Mace and Yoda, and then what Qui-Gon has that are good, and he puts them together.
Remind me who Galahad is again?
In the Arthurian legends, Galahad and Gawain, in a different sense, Gawain is more purity. Galahad is more chivalry.
Gawain is more of the Qui-Gon, I feel like.
Okay, we can discuss
chaotic
knight. But Galahad is a knight who genuinely cares about chivalry and moral purity, and he's kind of in a lot of ways, he's like kind of the Christian ideal for what a warrior should be. And in that sense, he is reluctant to use force unless he needs to. He's all about helping the poor, playing by the rules. Galahad is sort of that figure in the Arthurian legend. So Obi-Wan, if you look at the Star Wars series, I don't know that Lucas was necessarily looking to the Arthurian legend for this. It would make sense if he was.
I'm sure he was to an extent, yeah.
But Obi-Wan serves that role where it's like he is a truly noble warrior who unfortunately has everything taken away from him. And not even due to his nobility. It's just there was nothing he could do. He did everything right, and it still wasn't enough.
Yeah.
You know who Gawain is? Gawain is Quinlan Voss.
Yeah, I could see that.
Who would you compare Obi-Wan to in Lord of the Rings, if anybody?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
One of the elves.
Almost, yeah, maybe one of the elves. Aragorn to an extent. He doesn't have the same Chosen One role, though.
Yeah, I feel like
Aragorn seems like if you combined Anakin and Obi-Wan into one person. Because he has the Chosen One element, but he also has the nobility of Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Anakin has that. No, but I think
I wouldn't say Obi-Wan has a direct parallel.
Because here's the thing about Aragorn, to an extent, you have that aspect of this. They tweak his motives a little bit for the movies, but in the books, he's very much like, I know that I'm gonna be king. I am not ready to be king, and he goes and he lives amongst the people that he's gonna be ruling.
I would love to see a prequel
which feels very
with Aragorn before he meets the Fellowship, when he's still a ranger.
It's gonna probably be in the Hunt for Gollum.
Yeah, it's
dude.
probably gonna be the Hunt for Gollum. And also, if you you can read the Unfinished Tales and everything. Like, there's Aragorn's story is told. Like, there's a lot of references, especially in the book for the Return of the King. But I mean, it's all he's got such a cool story. He does all sorts of wild. He goes to Umbar. Like, what does he go by? Thorongil, right? Is the name he uses for a while there.
I don't remember. I just
What's the name he uses when they meet
Strider
him?
is
Strider.
no, but there's another name. I forget what it is. But.
He uses another name. I might be mixing it up with another character. It's been a while. But yeah, he does a lot of weird, wild stuff. Honestly, if I had to compare Obi-Wan to anybody, at least in the movies, it would probably be Faramir.
Yeah, good take.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
Can I say one thing?
Well, there's also Gandalf, considering, like, if we're talking original trilogy.
Original trilogy, Gandalf. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. The thing that I would say, my last word on Star Wars is that I think what needs to happen with Star Wars canon, because there's always this like, oh, well, should Dave Filoni do kind of a refresh of canon and say basically what was said when the merger happened, where it was like, all right, the original 6 and Clone Wars are canon, everything else is legends. Should Filoni and Brennan do that? I don't necessarily think so. I don't think they can, but I think that what needs to happen eventually is that there needs to be a certain understanding of canon that more resembles Arthurian legend.
Yeah.
Or even what Marvel and DC have to an extent, where it's like, these are mythical characters. There are different interpretations over time. We don't need that guy. I forget his name. He's a super cool guy, but we don't need that guy who's got the spreadsheet that tracks where everyone is in the galaxy at any given point, so there's no conflicts. We can just let these things sort of coexist with each other. And yeah, maybe Obi-Wan is on this planet in this year, or maybe there's something else that says he's on this planet in this year. Like that, we don't need to do that, and we can bring in more different interpretations, like they do with Star Wars Visions, where they have these anime creators come in and say, do whatever you want, make Star Wars anime. And I feel like that would give an out to be able to say, all right, we can have stuff that is going to sell more toys. We can have stuff that is a little bit more George Lucas-esque, that are more in line with his vision. And we can also just do stuff for the hell of it.
You know what I would
need it to fit into this Marvel-esque kind of continuity.
You know what I would kind of like to see, somewhat in line with that, but a little bit different, that I feel like probably would be unpopular, but for the sake of the actors and everybody that was involved, I would love to see either a tangential movie that happens within the structure of the three, or something that happens after, where we get to see Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Adam Driver, and what's the other guy?
I think you're going to have a really hard time getting John Boyega to sign up for another Star Wars.
Yeah, he's the
point. But something that allows...
You would have an easier time hiring Barack Obama to play an old Finn than you would have getting John Boyega.
That's fair.
Do not give them any ideas.
But you know what? I will be honest. If you get Barack Obama to play a character in Star Wars, I will forgive so many things. I didn't even like Obama. I think Obama was a war criminal. Give me Barack Obama in Star Wars.
If you put Obama in Star Wars, George Lucas would kill himself. We would hear about him killing himself.
You know what? Also, I want somebody. I want his name to be in some form or another like Obama.
Yeah.
Like,
now let me be
his
clear.
name needs to be like B apostrophe ARK OB apostrophe MA.
Obi-Ama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He plays a droid.
Yeah.
Now let me be clear. Do or do not. There is no try.
Where would you put him? Like,
they'd probably end up doing something like what they
put him in
did
the High
with-
Republic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
High Republic era.
Actually, that's a good.
Yeah,
plan.
are we gonna do an Old Republic thing? Is that what's being geared up to do? Because I feel like that's happening.
I think they're
There's
so
the new Old
scared.
Republic game coming out.
I think they're
Fate of the Old
so
Republic, yeah.
scared to do the Old Republic.
could literally just repeat the storyline.
We just keep. I know they just need to repeat the same storyline from the games, and we have already told them Keanu Reeves is Revan.
Yeah.
They just won't listen to us.
I'm really excited for the Fate of the Old Republic game that just got announced. I think it was at the Game Awards they announced it. That is another RPG in the same way as and then I think the remastering Knights, are they not?
I gotta say another hot take. I know everybody clowns on the prequels. I like the Republic era so much more than the Empire era.
Yeah.
Like I'm sorry. Like yes, I understand the importance of the hero's journey of that, and I understand different elements of the importance of Luke Skywalker and starting everything. I like Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Padme so much more as characters. I know the dialogue's clunky sometimes, but the world, the politics,
It feels
the
so much
story,
more alive.
it's so much more rich, and there's so many more things you can do with it.
Coruscant's my favorite planet in Star Wars,
100%.
and I would watch an infinite number of movies and shows just about different facets of life on
I
Coruscant.
want to see a Cyberpunk 2077 or whatever it was on Coruscant. Like it's just there's so much more breadth, there's so much more intrigue, there's so much more complexity to the prequels era.
Yeah,
That it's just so much more
even stuff
interesting.
like the Obi-Wan thing that you mentioned, like the day-to-day life at the temple,
Yeah.
is something that is so underexplored.
Yes.
Like, why are we not doing more of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I wish even in the game, like if there had been in one of the Cal Kestis games, there was like a chapter where it's just all flashback of just him. They do it for briefly, but it's a section of the game that's just him back when he was a youngling.
Speaking of HBO, just out of curiosity, when are we going to get a 3 to 5 season series about the Roman Republic transitioning into the Roman Empire? Could literally be each season is hundreds of years apart from one another, but
I don't know that it could.
But with HBO, I feel like
Happened over the course of like a generation.
that's my my point is like just following Rome
Yeah.
at different points in time. And then you could literally have like, hundreds of years pass between like the beginning of Rome in season 1 to somewhere in the middle of the Republic to, towards the end of the Republic to the transitions, to things like that.
There is room, and I've considered like at some point in my life, if it doesn't happen, trying to write a movie about it. But God, is it the founding of the? I think it's the founding of the first Roman Republic, or it might be the refounding of the Republic. Again, this is way back in history, and I might be mixing it up. It's a story I haven't looked into too deeply, but it's a cool one as an overarching concept. Basically, Rome rising from the ashes of the Gallic Wars they fought at the beginning of the 4th century. So after they've thrown off the Tarquinians, all of that, there was basically a rebellion and a rebirth of the Roman Republic that happened around 400 BC. And it was led by a man whose name was Marcus Furius Camillus.
That's amazing.
Badass.
And I just feel like you don't need much more than that. It's
Yeah.
also so far back in history that you have so much room to play with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, as long as you don't Christopher Nolan it and have them wearing
That movie's
like
gonna be
late,
fucking awesome.
They're
Come on,
gonna have like
get on
late
board.
No, yeah, that's what I
care.
mean. It's like, yeah, let's make a movie that takes place in 395 BC. What's everybody wearing? Like late auxiliary garments from the
don't
Federati
care.
frontiers in
But
Gaul.
dude, realistically, like there's going to be gods and cyclopses. Like
No, I don't want gods and cyclops. That's what I mean. I am so tired of every time we do anything that takes place before like Gladiator, before the Roman Imperial period. Every time we do that, it's got to have cyclopses and centaurs and gods.
But it's
no.
but it's
Yeah,
the
we
literal
lived-
Odyssey.
We lived through a huge era where everything remotely fantastical got nerfed like that.
Look, if it was
I'm
something
glad
that
we're
was
not doing that anymore.
if it was something that was genuinely based in reality, I would agree with you. But it's literally the Odyssey.
Okay, fine. But
Like,
for
that's-
what I'm talking about, though,
Yeah, no, that's a
Doing
different
the
thing.
Divine
entirely.
comedy. Are you going to make it look exactly like 1300s
No, I-
Florence? Like, no, you're gonna.
I would.
All right.
I would though.
Should we move on to one of the other 2 episodes we have to shoot today?
Well, we're probably only going to do one more,
Yeah,
considering
probably
we have a
one more.
meeting at 3. Also, I'm hungry. What about you guys?
I do hunger.
yeah.
Yeah. So
I probably
let's.
should not have had that muffin, but I saw a red velvet muffin staring at me, and I was like,
I don't blame you in the slightest.
Cream cheese filling.
Yeah, we're about done here.
God. But yeah, anyway, I rest my case. Star Wars is America's Iliad.
I would agree.
Yeah. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, Kennedy. Bye.
Bye, Kennedy.
See you guys on the next episode.
It's got to be the second or third worst thing that's ever happened to a Kennedy.
You're forgetting how many Kennedys there have been.
No, I'm aware.
What about Chappaquiddick?
That didn't really happen to a Kennedy.
That kind of happened.
Kennedy happened to
from a
somebody.
Kennedy. Yeah, Kennedy happened.
What about the plane?
Like I said, second or
Second or
third worst
third.
thing. I know that somebody shot John F. Kennedy. They say it was Lee Harvey Oswald. We all know.
Top 10 movie lines of all time is in Pixels when Josh Gad is like, the Zapruder tape was edited. JFK shot first.
Oh
No, somebody shot John F. Kennedy. We know that. Hillary Clinton killed the other one. Somebody also shot RFK, the first one. Somebody's probably going to shoot RFK, the second one. That or he's going to get colon cancer.
I believe that he's going to kill somebody more than I believe that he's going to be assassinated.
I think he probably already has killed somebody and eaten them.
Yeah, more than likely.
Yeah, that's right, everybody. I accused Obama of being a war criminal and RFK Jr. of being a cannibal. Radical centrism. All right, bye. Sub on Patreon.
Done. All right, what do we want to do for food?